Alright, welcome to another edition of What the Fuck Happening is Here in Mendham. Yeah, that's the screen name. Yeah, sorry. Anyway, should be Do Not God, but you know, YouTube wouldn't let me do that anymore. Anyway, another video about the conversation about kind of the ultimate truth. You know, you can have arguments about the value of all kinds of different things, like, you know, whether we should build another super collider or something, you know, or some argument about some project. And, you know, and then you can argue about the project itself, you know, existence. And my argument is everything should be tried. You force it to defend itself. You know, you force the defenders to make their argument, to present their evidence for why it's a good idea, and then the detractors to present their evidence and point out why it's a bad idea, and then figure out whether or not you're going to do the thing. Now, the imbecility of our existence is that you could have some simple scenario like there's a guy standing in the road and there's a car coming, and you can, in fact, just push him, and he'll be okay. You can push him out of the way. You can change his fate. And the simple truth is that, you know, that trial isn't obvious. You can say there's a probabilistic chance, but you can't make any guaranteed chances that you're doing him a favor. He might be better off being just killed now, get it over with, because his fate is going to be miserable and horrible. The truth is, he's not going to die well if he doesn't die now. It's a simple argument. And then the trial just becomes a trial over, well, there's a higher probability that he would appreciate being pushed. So you could say that, well, let's get his opinion as best we can. And he would suggest that, yes, thank you, please push me out of the way. Because, yeah, I don't want to die now and all that kind of crap. And so that would be a pretty decisive argument in settling it, in the sense that you can just say, well, we'll just go to the person and say, what do you want had to happen to you? And then make the decision. But I'm just saying all of it is cloudy. It's all kind of muddy water that we have to see through. And, but I would argue that the brightness of the truth is bright enough to see, even in the cloudy water. That there really isn't anything to defend the existence of crap on this planet. Just as there's no argument that could be made to say there's any necessity or utility in infesting Mars with living things. It can't be made as an argument that somehow living things are better off being Martians. That something matter is better off being a Martian, a conscious being, a shark on Mars. No, it's not. The matter isn't better off. That argument really can't be made. Alright, so that's sort of the conclusion when you get through all the bullshit, is that the fact is there is no underlying elemental good that you can do except to defeat bad. That defeating bad is the only good available to us, stopping worse things from happening. We can never make anything good happen. We can only make less worse things happen. So that's a really important argument. I think more powerfully stated that way than in complex asymmetries and whatnot. It's just to point out that we're always just trying to take the bad out of something, take the poison apples out. There's never trying to sweeten the apples. You're just trying to get the bad stuff out of the pie, so to speak. And that is intrinsically the only power and the only ability we have to improve things in reality. Alright, so we'll commence with the playing of the video. The energy pool and all of that metaphorical might mush. Need more volume. Circle of life stuff, you know, frankly, and it's bleak. It's not a good story. So yeah, I said circle of life, and it's, kind of making fun of the Lion King and all that other kind of crap. And the fact is I don't even know how that works on a kid. You know what I mean? I'm watching Bambi, okay, as a kid. Shocked me. I thought it was going to be some kind of little flowery, happy thing. And the mother gets shot, and the forest fire, and the sense of doom was in there. This sense that you don't own your existence at all. You're not going to be in control. And so in some respects it was just getting over the grief of the dead mother was enough for me to walk out not feeling great. And the Lion King probably did that to some kids. I mean, some kids probably got the story and said, shit, what is this crap? This is fun. I'm going to live this life where I have to, I'm going to be cheated by my own relatives and extorted out of my my not even in, my inherited position, which is another bad concept. Inheritance. I mean, it's got all these really negative messages in it. Like there's owners, there's people who the lions get to run the show. Why no democracy there? And then some kind of statement about, well, if you did make it a democracy, it all goes to hell. I mean, it has a lot of really negative messages. Just kind of ironic. And I bet some of that leaks through, though. That some people, that their intent to make it into some song and dance didn't really work. And that you really fuck some kids up in a positive way, in the sense that you make them reflective on just how fucked up existence is, and how the fucked up parents really haven't cleaned anything up. They haven't fixed it. They haven't made this a civilized world to live in. So, anyway, throwing that in for free. A little commentary. Millions of people. I don't want to be any of them. So I was just pointing out how, there's I saw some picture of some place that I thought was shit, like Peru or something. I don't know what it was. And it's this huge, giant city. And you're just saying, yeah, but it's just full of Peruvians. Fuck that. I wouldn't want to be them. I wouldn't want to be any of them. I don't want to live any of their lives. I wouldn't want to. I'm completely personally indifferent to the existence of this whole segment. I mean, this segment might as well be on Mars. They might as well be Martians. There might as well be even further out, Satyrians or something. I mean, it's just so disconnected from me that I can't in any way have a feeling about, oh, gee, how important, how critical it is that city exists. No. I mean, it could just sink into the earth tomorrow and, wouldn't mean anything to me. Just a fact. Say, the risk is worth it because I'm going to negate the existence of the risk, because I'm going to pretend that everybody who is going to be born isn't statistically going to be put in a category. So it's just talking about the different ways that people just use lies and fables to change reality into something they want it to be rather than something that it is. And obviously anybody who's procreating is got to have you're either insidiously cruel or you're insanely stupid, because there's just nothing in between. There's no way you can understand that there isn't a huge risk. You're putting somebody in this huge jeopardy. You're putting the kid the fetus in a very rickety roller coaster where you can't control much, and there's a high probability, in fact, a high probability that they live something called an average life, which I don't think you want to live. So, I mean, the whole thing is really stupid. I mean, so illogical. And so I get to talking about this as if this was a trial. And this would be really poor evidence on their side. But the real point is that the jury is really stupid. And that's the real problem. Stupid juries. Just took that hour where, I get this silly story from the parents, basically saying it's all okay. Yes, you're going to die. Yes, it's probably not going to be any fun. So I just reflecting on how I wish I could, take I was pretty empty-brained when I got here on Earth. At 7 years old, I didn't know very much. I mean, basics. And I wish I could, in some way, being John Malkovich, I wish I could put you inside of that person, and you could just reflect on this wah, 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 excuse-making people are saying about how there's some purpose or some God or some bullshit, and none of it can mean anything or make any sense to you because you're not an idiot. I guess. I don't know. I mean, I somehow acquired enough knowledge to know when I'm being told a big pile of crap. And they just make some justifications for everything. Just say, well, yeah, there's a chance you'll get your leg ripped off tomorrow. But it's just a chance. What's so bad about that? Roll the dice. Roll the dice. Roll the dice. Maybe it's going to be your turn. Well, I don't want to turn, frankly. I just want to roll dice in the win a cupcake competition. I don't want to roll dice in the have your leg torn off tomorrow competition. I'm not interested. It seems really obvious to me. Swimming beastlies, and they are truly ignorant, okay? I mean, they really can't have much hope of figuring it out. Where, come on, obviously the humans of 200 years ago had all kinds of capacity to have some sort of model of. So I'm saying there's some excuses of ignorance you can believe. Some people really are dumb. I mean, they just really haven't been educated well at all, and so they don't even. You say the word evolution, they have no. They can't really put it into a picture and understand the process. They can't understand even the word robot. They can't even understand a concept of you don't have a you inside of you making you. That it's just a brain that creates the illusion of you out of a bunch of electrical shit. These are concepts way above some people. So you could argue they're just kind of, they're kind of retarded. And then there's other people just lying to themselves, obviously. I mean, obviously the educated elitist, they had lots of books on their bookshelf that their slaves were dusting. They had plenty of knowledge. And they couldn't figure out that it's cruel and stupid to enslave human beings? I mean, come on. I mean, that's just a ridiculous. So what kind of bullshit were they using? What kind of fantasy were they using? Oh, God doesn't like black people? I mean, what is their excuse? There just isn't any that's reasonable that you could put in some, oh, okay. I mean, that's a powerful pile of bullshit that they're wallowing in to be able to escape recognizing there's something wrong with the picture, that they didn't do anything special to deserve to be the one on the good side of that slavery. Horses, for example. So I remember the famous $60 billion case. 60 billion. Yeah. So I was just talking about a GM. General Motors was sued, and the verdict was insane. The amount of money was insane. The whole thing was so fucking silly, and the jury was just way too stupid, and it's that simple. And it's I guess half of it is again they were just had some silly notion that the corporations or the rich people will pay the $60 billion. That the people buying a General Motors car won't be paying it. They won't be paying it when they go buy a car. Somebody else will be paying for it. They're so dumb in so many respects. They're so stupid. But the fact is there was absolutely. I mean, the trial should have been just one piece of evidence. Should have been the end of the trial. A pickup truck hits another pickup truck at 70 miles an hour. We should have no expectation, okay, that the truck hit doesn't catch fire. If we have the expectation it doesn't catch fire, you would need to be injecting gas tanks or something. I mean, you'd have to have some kind of silly, very expensive mechanism to prevent that. You'd have to have actual fire extinguishers go off inside the car or something. Something none of us would agree to pay for, because of the slim likelihood of it actually happening. But I mean, it was just such a stupid fucking... The person wasn't killed by the fire. The whole thing was just so fucking criminally stupid. The verdict was the jury should be sued for being criminally stupid. But you can find lots of cases, OJ case, lots of cases where it should have been a 3-minute trial. The evidence is so overwhelming, so you know, so many different avenues of confirmation. Nobody can, you can't survive certain G-forces. So if you get hit at a certain speed, you're not going to survive because the G-forces are going to turn your brain into shit. It's just a fact. We're killed by fast motion. That alone. But on top of that, yes, if your head actually hits a piece of metal, you're really in big fucking trouble. To, you know, click the tumblers that say, oh yeah, I get it. It is a silly imposition, frankly. It's a cruel and stupid risk imposed for no good reason. Selfish, silly, ego. So, I don't know exactly what the point was. I don't know what the tumblers thing was, but anyway, yes, clearly the end of the trial is the summation is going to be something like there's nothing but selfishness and fables and nonsense to defend. That's all that's all the people perpetrating the act have to defend. It's just a rapist saying I felt like it. They have nothing else. They have no way of defending their cruelty and their lack of and their disregard for the risk and the imposition. The violation, that is the imposition itself of assuming that you know what's best for somebody else. It's disgustingly arrogant on its face. It's like the rapist thinking, well, she's better off for it. He's not allowed to think that. And you're not allowed to think you're doing somebody a favor by forcing them into this sloppy shit game. All the way to Antarctica almost to get around South America. You know, it's a... Alright, so then I was talking about the Panama Canal and just how, you know, it killed thousands. I mean, it's like 10,000 people or more, you know, workers were killed, you know, doing the Panama Canal thing. I mean, you know, in accidents and in diseases. And, you know, it's a terrible working environment, you know, awful conditions, blah, 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 blah. And we make it all worth it somehow. Somehow those people being sacrificed to the greater good. And again, it's not for a greater good. It's just for a less worse. So the circumstances, we're all worse off, where people will be killed if you have to sail all the way around South America. That's going to sink ships, and it's going to kill people, and it's going to do all this. And then the lack of being able to transport stuff efficiently means you'll have to pay more for your medicine, so that means less people will have it, blah, blah, blah. So you can make lots of counter-arguments that all you're doing is saying, okay, this bad is acceptable. We'll accept the war because the alternative of not accepting the war is genocide and horror. You know. To, you know, make it as graceful as possible. But the last thing you would do is push somebody else in. Why would you push somebody else into the quicksand? I mean, what the fuck? So basically just pointing out that you can live your life and try to do the best you can for yourself and for the other victims that are sitting here wallowing in this mire. And you can try to make, you know, if they're going to drown in the quicksand, try to make it as comfortable as possible. If they're treading water, you know, try to give them another inch of breathable space. You can do what you can, but why would you ever throw somebody into this "you're going to be killed" game? Why would you? This pinball machine is not running very well. It's electrocuting people. It's doing all kinds of things. Why would you sit there and say, let's keep it in service? Let's build another one. Too stupid, really. It's just too stupid. It's a, you know, horrible pinball machine to be pointing. Yeah, so I used that metaphor. And I pointed out, what if the pinball machine isn't just about winning a free game, you know, and defeating the machine, but what if it actually does have electrodes on your testicles? What if it, and then what if it has electrodes on somebody else's heart, and you know, you're gonna kill them with how well you play the game. And that's the reality. I mean, and every little bumper and every little move we make and every little decision we make where we compromise somebody else's interest to preserve our own and all of that kind of crap, it's all part of the game, and it's a insidiously awful part of the game that you have to even do these calculations in the first place, that I have to figure out how much am I willing to sacrifice to try to prevent somebody else from getting a broken leg. I mean, how much effort am I supposed to put in? How much should I have to pay for it? So this is cruel. But with the welfare of every single person they interact with, they're going to decide whether they, you know, I mean, just that alone, just the mere magnitude of somebody taking their life seriously, just realizing that you might impose on somebody this existence and that they might take it seriously, and by taking it seriously they might every day, you know, be under quite a bit of stress because they're trying to figure out, am I rescuing somebody or am I pushing them into the traffic? Which one am I really doing? Am I going to improve their fate and their destiny, or am I going to harm them? Because they can't know for sure. And every one of these decisions becomes difficult because you're sitting here trying to guess if you're lucky. Is the number 7 going to come up, or is it going to be 13? And how I bet the money isn't going to decide just what happens to me. It's going to decide what happens to them. That's the insidious part. That's the part that should disturb the fuck out of you. So think about that when you're eating your Thanksgiving dinner. It's about the fact that you have to use specific ones against specific people. And the people who know... Alright, so now I'm just talking about the fact that this is the real problem, right? I mean, before we can even impanel a jury, we have to go through the process of figuring out, well, does this one need a religious, whatever the word would be, unindoctrination. They need to be unindoctrinated. They need to have evolution explained. Does this one need this? All these jurors are all different kinds of imbecile. So you have to, and the ones who know what DNA are, you don't want to explain it to them. You don't want to force them to go to, nursery school again. So yeah, it's kind of hard. You got to target this argument to these individuals. So in the past, I have thought about that, and that's sort of my obligation. And I did do a little website thing that actually tries to do that, starts the process of trying to identify whether you're a fabulist, an idiot who believes in nonsense, or whether you're a nihilist, that is, the world sucks, but you just don't give a shit because somehow you don't think the welfare of feeling creatures has value intrinsically, because you're because you're a selfish cunt, and for no other reason. I mean, it's so obvious that how I feel is really important. And certainly it's just as obvious that how other people feel is important. I mean, there's just no way to play this, oh, they're synthetic and I'm the only real consciousness in the universe game. I mean, that's really a pathetic excuse. That's a pathetic road of evasion. Well, anyway, so I get to that sort of at the end here. And there was the tornado warnings that were coming before. So I was talking about this, I've related it before, but there's a little moments you remember from being a kid, and these little key points where it occurred to you some insight, some eureka thing, and I had a very dismal, in a way, realization that I was in the middle of a blender, that this was a meat grinder and I was just waiting for my turn. And I had that moment at 6 years old sitting in a tree. The realization that what the fuck have these imbeciles brought me into? And why am I in this game? Because I obviously don't want to play it. I don't know how to play it. I have nothing. It's just so anti-me, so to speak. There was nothing about me being here that said I should be in this position. It didn't feel right or comfortable at all. And it felt very toxic and uncomfortable. Anyway. And, you're just saying, why can't people understand that perspective? Because I understood it at 6 years old. Come on. How can you grown-up people not realize that there's that it would be ridiculous to pretend you're doing anything but showing off. That the only thing you're playing for is some ego point somewhere. Because I didn't have one at that point. I guess that's the point, is that I just didn't really know it was a competition, that I was supposed to be a hero or a stoic, or I was supposed to do any of that crap. So to me, it didn't even occur to me to feel any shame for merely pointing out that, wow, this is a really stupid game to be playing. Wait for your turn. My turn at what? Getting your leg ripped off. Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't want my turn. Thank you. Pass. Find somebody else to volunteer for that game, because I don't want to play it. I'm not buying the ticket. Anyway. Alright, so I think that's probably enough. And such, and so forth and whatnot. So that's the project. I guess the point being made is I can't talk to you like you're an impaneled, qualified jury, because you're not. Most of you are retarded, okay, by lack of information or by misinformation. And until I unretard you, you're of no utility, okay, as an intelligence on Earth. And you really can't serve any function. Certainly not the function of making a decision of some kind, because you don't have the faculty. Alright. The necessary faculties. Alright, till the next time, such and so forth and whatnot. Blah, 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 blah. Such.